In this video, guys, we've got to pull the dents out of this pipe, refinish it, and then completely redo the whole exhaust system. We got a couple neat little things we're going to try, so let's see. So we've got our FMF Gold Series pipe, and there wasn't a whole lot wrong with the chrome, but we wanted to try something a little different. And hopefully we're not just going to do those normal heat lines that everybody does to make it look like a works pipe when it's not a works pipe. We're going to do a pretty neat finish on it, but we've sandblasted it to get rid of all the chrome, and now we have to smooth it back out with sandpaper. But before we go ahead and spend hours smoothing it out, we're going to end up changing the color of it here when we heat it to pull that dent. So pulling the dents on tanks, you can buy these kits that we've got all bolted on there, and you put a pile of air pressure in it, like 40 to 50 pounds of air. You got to read the instructions, guys, if you're going to try this. And then you apply heat, and hopefully that dent will push itself out, keeping an eye on the pressure so we don't exceed it, because basically we're building an air pressure bomb. We're going to be putting air in it, heating that air up. It's going to want to expand to push this dent out with the heat, and it's going to build a lot of pressure. So this is a dangerous thing to be doing. We're going to start off by putting about 40 pounds in our tank here, and we'll see what we got. It's about 40 right there. And what we're listening for here is see if we're leaking. Got a little bit of a leak up around this front side. So the more pressure builds, we're gonna have to tighten this up a little more. Because as we build pressure, it's not gonna get any better. So we've got our tank of MAP gas. If it'll light. And we're just gonna heat up this area. You can see it sweating out the pipe right now. A lot of it has already came out. And we're peaking about 50 pounds now. We're gonna try and get her a little hotter. Yeah, that dent's completely gone, guys. Now it's a matter of letting it cool down before we start doing anything else. Because the spooge that's inside this tank has just became liquid tar. And if you start releasing the pressure now, it's gonna spray out that liquid exhaust oil and burn you. So let this thing cool down. So our pipe's been cooling for a while. We're still gonna wear gloves, and we're gonna pull out the valve stem just like we would on a tire and release the pressure. You can smell it. Well, I can smell it, but it's just like a burnt oil smell. But you can see all the spooge that gets stuck on everything. Put our valve stem back in. And if your valve stem goes to crap, guys, you can change it with a new valve stem. So basically now our next step is basically going to be to sand. You can do this by hand. We're going to try these Scotch-Brite pads on the die grinder, and we're going to see how they work. We're going to try it in an area that's not really going to show first, in case it takes too much away. No, it actually works pretty good. We're going to go with that. Anyway, we're going to be spending quite a few hours of buffing this back up. We'll try and do a time lapse, I guess, for you guys. We've got our initial buffing done with the SOS pads on a die grinder, trying to blend it in as best we can. I don't feel any of the the sandblasting marks anymore. So it's smoothed out. Now the problem is the swirls. So we're gonna go with like a 400 grit, maybe a 600, maybe a 1000, I'm not sure yet. We're gonna kind of work with it and see how it goes and try and pull all of it more uniform, and that way it doesn't show through the next step when we coat it. So we've got our pipe all sanded. It looks pretty good. So what we're gonna do is take rubbing alcohol, a whole bunch of rubbing alcohol, and we are going to clean the surface. We don't wanna touch it, okay? We wanna get rid of all the fingerprints. Get it all cleaned up. Good rubbing alcohol eats up oil, grease, you know? So we're just gonna wipe the whole pipe down really good, and if our rag gets too dirty, we're just gonna get another paper towel. So why we're using paper towel, because it's disposable. Get it all cleaned up, because there's a pile of sanding dust on this from us sanding and sanding for hours. And if there's oil on there, the next step is not going to take like it should. We'll do this a couple times, give it a couple good wipe downs, keep changing our rag, because we want to try and get in all the little pitting spots. Get on all the weld seams really good. You got to think, this thing's full of two-stroke oil. So we'll see how this next step goes. So I've never seen this done. And because of YouTube and all the restrictions on certain things, I don't know if I can explain what this is. But I can tell you this is cold bluing, okay? And it makes metal rust, and you will apply it. There's certain words you just can't say on YouTube. So you apply this, and it has other processes. If you look up Brownell's Oxy Blue, there'll be a lot of videos and information on what it's used for and how to apply it. But I'm going to show you how to apply it. We're going to open it up, put it in a separate clean container. We've cleaned this container with alcohol as well so that it doesn't contaminate the bluing. And then we're going to rub the bluing on and buff it up. And it's going to change the color of this to like a black. I guess let's see how it goes. We'll shake this stuff up in case it settles. It's never been opened. This is a factory brand new bottle. Has directions. I already know how to use it. If you need to know how to use it, you'll have to read it. I'll have to open this up here though. Get my scissors, put a little hole, and then we're gonna not dip our applicator, because if you get any of the metal content in this stuff, it'll just activate and your whole bottle will be ruined. So we're gonna pour it in a separate container, just a nice little bit. It's like a liquid blue. We're gonna dab it up with our paper towel. You could use a cotton ball or something like that. We're gonna dab it up so we got a bunch on there. And then we're gonna apply it in nice even strokes. And hopefully it works. It isn't doing jack all right now. You can see it on some of it starting to work. So we're gonna go around the whole pipe and try and blue this pipe. And it's starting to work now. You can see it getting a little darker. The reason we're wearing gloves is we don't want our fingertips to touch the metal. And I don't know what the finish is gonna be, because this pipe has been heated and cooled, had chrome on it. We'll see. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I don't like it. It's different. We'll see. We're just going to keep applying. And then we're going to take a step back here. Use the steel wool and kind of buff it and try and even it out. It's really bringing a lot of weird blue colors. And this stuff should be good for the heat because they use it on things that get really hot. I'm sure you guys can figure it out what I'm talking about. But I know if I say certain things, I get flagged and then you guys don't get to see it. I think this pipe might become either love it or hate it kind of thing. Obviously, we're going to get a lot of comments, hopefully. You guys tell me what you think. Once we're done, give me a chance to finish it. What we're doing is just taking another brand new piece of steel wool and trying to give her a good polish. After we've wiped off the excess, just trying to see the finish that we come up with. So while we're letting the pipe darken up before we do another coat, I figure we'll rip this silencer apart because obviously it needs a good cleaning and I guarantee it needs to be packed. You guys want to pause the video and take bets on if there's any packing in it? Go right ahead. I don't expect anything out of Project 93 anymore. So sometimes to get these apart, you have to beat them. Like just hit them and then it'll pop it out. Just like that. We can drive the other side out with some sort of a stick. I'll go ahead and pull out the packing. It's just soaked in oil. So this almost, like depending on how much you guys ride your bike, but if you're riding a two-stroke, this is kind of like a yearly thing. Getting the packing and redoing it. Man. I have to get a steel hammer so I can really hit it. Try this again. Good. Well, it's a lot better than I expected. It's like somebody actually repacked it. Holy smokes. Who would have thought from Project 93? We're still throwing it out. So basically now we've got a pail of some soapy water. We're going to soak the parts in and we're going to basically scrub them up. We've got some Simple Green to help us along the way. Stuff works really good, you know. And we'll be a bit doing this. Then we'll get it back together. So we've got our parts all cleaned up, got rid of all the silicone that we could and cleaned up the outside and all the mating surfaces. And now we're gonna wrap it with a two-stroke muffler packing kit. This one's an FMF kit. It doesn't matter what brand you buy, as far as I've ever noticed. And I just basically wrap your exhaust, your silencer, nice and tight on there, just like that. And then I stuff it down in. And these two-stroke kits are pretty good, like they're pretty loose. You're able to get them pretty good. Now the key is, look at the hole pattern, 2 holes up top, 1 on the bottom. So make sure you put your pipe in the right way. Now some instructions tell you to put the end cap on first, some tell you to put this end on first. I like to get it together and then I deal with pulling it back out a little bit and putting a little silicone on. Because I want to see how much packing I have and how much of a pain in the butt it's going to be to get this lined up with this cap. If you have a really small silencer or it's hard to pack, you can put painter's tape around the insulation. I've done it lots of times. Doesn't affect anything, works pretty good. Just like that. We're going to apply a little bit of silicone on there now. Our silicone we've used 100 times before. We never use a lot of it. We just put a little bit on a popsicle stick. And it's just gasket maker silicone, the black. I've used the orange before, but the black just looks nicer. So now we'll install the rear. We'll just put a little bit more silicone around, just a little bit, around that seam line. There's 3 screws that hold it. The pressure's going that way. You don't need gobs and gobs of it. You just have to clean it off after anyway. And we'll press our end in. And get it lined up with the holes. And then screw it back together. Now it's just a matter of putting in some labor. We're going to put on some autosol. Get out our autosol steel wool. And start buffing it in. We're going to try and apply another coat of the bluing to the pipe here and see if it darkens up any. We've went ahead and buffed it with the steel wool to kind of give it a little bit more to take in. I'm just trying to look for any dry spots or spots that are soaking it up faster than another, and just kind of wiping it over, even coats, to try and get a little bit more of a darker finish. Just really getting into the weld seams. If you have to use a Q-tip, you may have to use a Q-tip if you have a little divot and get right down in there. I think the pipe turned out pretty good. We're going to get it on the bike, but we went ahead and sprayed some WD-40 on it, and then we used our ultra fine steel wool and just went over it and gave it a polish all over to give it that shine. We're going to go ahead and install the gaskets and the seals and get it mounted on the bike so we can get a real idea of what it looks like. Well, the pipe and silencer are done on Project 93, and I think it looks really good. It's different. It's not the same heat lines on the welds to make it look like a works pipe when it's not. It's something different. We removed the chrome because the chrome was kind of pitted and didn't look too good on this pipe, and we applied the bluing. Now, it's simple maintenance. WD-40, spray it on there, wipe it around, prevent it from rusting, just like you would anything else that has bluing on it. And yeah, I really like the look. But let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Let's see, do you love it? Do you hate it? Should I have tried something else? Have you guys seen other ways to do pipes other than the heat lines? I've never seen anybody else doing the bluing, but maybe I just didn't see it. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.